This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We are joined by John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to see you to start the week off, sir.
Good start to the week, I think. Good to hear from you.
You're surviving. You're a bachelor this week. Your wife has gone to the beach, left you at home. Are you and the dogs going to make it?
We're getting along fine, and we're going to manage. She's relaxing, looking at the Gulf of Mexico. I'm relaxing, just sitting around here. So people get their own forms of relaxation, you know. Not that I don't miss her terribly. Let me make that clear.
More tomatoes is what you're saying. You're getting all of them to yourself.
Yes, and the grill has been going a lot, and a lot of things have been cooked that I wouldn't normally. You know how guys get, you know, when they're on their own.
All right, let's turn our attention. We had a busy week in politics last week. I want to hold off talking about Judge Fox's decision and talk first about the special session that Governor Hutchinson called. He declared the special session basically a victory because he let the legislature have their potential input into his decision on the mask mandate for those under 12. Trent Garner says that we're winning because they blocked any changes to that through the legislative process. Who were the winners and losers of last week's debate at the legislature in the special session?
In the special session itself, not counting what might have come a day later in the court, that being the framing of the question, no winners. I believe I've got to believe, and this may just be anachronistic sanity talking, but I believe when legislators listen to crazy conspiracy theory testimony about the coronavirus being a fraud and about how masks will smother children and all sorts of things, I think when they listen to that as if it's serious and if it appears to have some effect on their votes, I think there's got to be a sizable number of people in the state who recoil at that and who are put off by that. I may be overstating, I may be understating the takeover of extreme right thinking. I know it's there, but I've got to think that legislators who partnered with that kind of testimony are losers. The governor, I don't get the governor. I mean, he's a winner. I mean, it's my column tomorrow. What was that session all about anyway? And I've had a couple of legislators say, you need to do a little recent history piece about Mike Beebe's rule, which was, you know, no matter how noble the cause, no matter how right, why call a special session unless it's locked down? Pre-session consensus votes lined up, in and out 3 days. That was his rule, and I thought it used to be ACES, raising the question of why did he call the session? And I speculate on that in a tomorrow column, but it's mere speculation. I do say his comment, it's never a waste of time to give legislators a chance to do the right thing, is a little bit cheesy and too clever by half. I've got some, I think here's what I think, and that's what I'll say tomorrow. I think he thought maybe the climate was right. If he could get the things to the floor, maybe he could get the 18 and 51. Maybe, probably not, but maybe. I also think that he believes this, and I welcome his dispute to this, but I think he believes if these guys are going to restrict my executive authority to do my job in an emergency, and we've got a virus raging out there that may close down our schools and cause a medical crisis, and they've limited my ability to deal with it, well, I'm just going to let them share some of the responsibility, i.e. blame. I think that may have been part of what it was doing. Substantively, in terms of advancing anything, it was a supreme waste of time. Didn't even get it out of the first committee it went to, which in olden times would have been the votes you locked down first. So it was a curious exercise. The governor's not being fully forthright about what he was up to, I don't believe. But as another legislator said to me, you try being governor of Arkansas right now. with this thing raging and in this climate. And I'd rather not. And as you know, somebody told me the governor runs hot and cold on my commentary, which is fine. I run hot and cold on his governing, but I think he's this session. Don't try to say in any way it was a success. Just don't. I believe that insults whatever intelligence is left out there.
I think your analysis of the fact that the legislature wanted some responsibility in managing a pandemic, they took powers away from him in the last session. I think if he did not call a special session, even if the votes weren't there, he would have had 100% of the blame, as you say.
I believe that is, I think we've got it. I mean, he can't say, well, I don't think he wants to say. I just called it for that reason. He's got to be more high-minded about it. But the fact is, and when you think about it, that's sort of that's a use of the process that doesn't result in any substantive advancement. But I can't say that I blame him for that,
Yeah, you can't say that he didn't try. So, which is what he would have said if he hadn't called a special session. So, all right.
Yes.
Let's talk about Judge Fox's ruling had the effect of what the governor wanted out of the special session. And he said he agreed with the court ruling, although he's also expressed regret for signing the Act 1002 to begin with here. It was Judge Fox's ruling sound in your opinion?
Well, I don't have my law degree on me, and I've never gone into the detail about the codification of our laws that he was going into with Heller and Mars. But I will say this is how I'll answer that. I watched it on the Zoom, and I thought I wish everybody out there was watching this, because Fox has studied this. The lawyers have command of their pleadings, and they're having a very arduous point-by-point discussion of the things that the judge decided they could discuss there pending further testimony, that got into whether some statute succeeded another and whether that affected one of the it was a very thoughtful, scholarly approach to the issue. Didn't have a great deal of emotion. Nobody cried out or said anything crazy. They discussed the various arguments for a stay. And I believe anybody who really looked at it, and I've had lawyers say so, it was a solid court proceeding. Some of the planks, some of the arguments, he said, I can't get to those now without testimony. One by Mars about constitutional infringement of executive power based on a Kentucky pleading. And Judge Fox said, don't come in here with Kentucky. We're not talking about Kentucky. This is Arkansas. I'm not bound by that. Let's move on. Denied in that regard. So I think if people had watched it, and those of us who did watch it with some objective view of it, have got to be impressed with the decision. I agree with the lawyers who tell me it's solid. It's solid. I mean, who knows what the Arkansas Supreme Court will do? Who knows what Attorney General Leslie Rutledge will argue on, and she probably, I guess she'll seek a stay. Last week I claimed to think there was a 50-50 chance to pass these bills in the session. That was like nonsense, and I apologize for that. And I'm going to say that, and when I say this, I think there's a better than 50-50 chance this injunction gets upheld. I do.
Oh, all right. Well, we will see the timeline for that proceed. We'll certainly be talking about that as it goes on. Now, go ahead.
By the way, Asa, Governor Hutchinson, says he may, and I think he will. He is a defendant in the case, resulting in the injunction against the law. He will be an appellant of record in the appeal of it, but he says he may hire his own lawyer to be separate from Rutledge's appeal, and that he will argue, hey, I know I'm a defendant here, I know I'm an appellant here, but please rule against me because my side is wrong. I had one lawyer send me a message yesterday saying, when he does that, I'll give him some credit. And I think he'll probably end up doing that.
Yeah, he indicated that he would. So, all right. Yep. In Washington, D.C., we see bipartisanship break out in the U.S. Senate. An infrastructure bill seems to have moved forward. You predicted all along. You thought that might happen. So I guess I'll give you a chance to say you're a fantastic prognosticator.
Well, Am I a fantastic prognosticator?
Are
I have
you
made a lot of,
are you
I have made a
surprised
lot
that
of,
they got the bill through?
well, they don't quite have it yet, but they've set, here's the deal. They've set 30 hours of remaining debate, then they vote. When they do that, and they did it by 68 votes in the US Senate, when they do that, they're saying, you guys still messing around trying to amend it. We're telling you to come up with something or quickly, because we're done with it. And that's always a sign they're going to vote tomorrow. Finally, that they're going 67 or 68 members of the U.S. Senate, including 17 or 18 Republicans, are going to join the Democrats to spend $1.2 trillion on vital infrastructure for this country. That is roads and bridges, yes, but it's also like electric car charging stations. And I wrote some time back, not a prediction, but this. What this country needs right now, more than anything, is to pass an infrastructure bill and have it announced in the Rose Garden or wherever. No, they don't have the Rose Garden anymore. Have it announced at the White House with the president and beaming members of both parties behind him and flanking him. I believe that's what the country wants. I believe they want the two parties to work together and do something that is tangible, that is identifiable, that is good for them. And I think this is a major moment. I'm delighted that that's happened. Now, it hadn't passed when it gets out of the Senate. It goes to the House, where Pelosi says, unless the Senate sends over this $3.5 million, 3.5 trillion. Remember, we're talking trees now. 3.5 trillion budget reconciliation that spends all this money for social spending. They're not even going to vote on it. She's only got an 8-vote majority, and you got AOC and her friends who could mess that up. And you got Manchin and Sinema, Democrats in the Senate, saying they're not going to vote for it at that size. They have to vote for it to get to 50 to get to Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. So it ain't done. It's not time for that celebration. But the Senate will acquit itself well as a deliberative body practicing real life legislating for the American people that transcends party. And I personally am just tickled by that.
All right. A tickled John Brummett on a Monday.
That's right. Yeah. All right, bud. We done?
Always good to be with you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Robbie. Bye-bye.
All right. That's all for today's program. We'll see you next time.